So, Jenet, what would you say to people who have been hurt deeply
Yes.
and they're struggling to forgive?
Yes. I think sometimes we talk about forgiveness in way too simplistic of terms. Forgiveness really comes to, it's really true that we can't receive the atonement of Jesus Christ unless we feel accountable for our choices and decisions. Mercy follows accountability. And sometimes in relationships, we need to help. We hold ourselves accountable, and we also help others be held accountable. And that there's a really important respect for boundaries about oneself. And so sometimes you can be in an abusive dynamic, right, where one's not respecting themselves and not respecting the other, or not, right, receiving respect from the other. And that can take a long time to forgive, to understand forgiveness. And I think it really giving ourselves space to understand the Savior's work, which is mercy and justice and accountability and forgiveness all together, right, enables us to really understand what it means to offer forgiveness to another person.
It's really empowering, this concept, because what it does is it gives you some oxygen in the air to breathe and to experience the Savior's infinite power of His atonement over time. That for many of you, forgiveness isn't going to be an event. Forgiveness, the way you're describing it, is going to be a process. It's part of the covenant path for you to become more like Jesus. He is a God of mercy and love and compassion and forgiveness to people who, quite frankly, don't deserve it.
Yes.
And I want to be more like Him. So sometimes, depending on the depth of the hurt, it's going to take a little longer. And instead of shaming yourself or beating yourself up, because why am I still bothered by this? It happened months or years ago. Why is it still eating? It's okay. Keep going back to Him, calling upon Him for mercy to help you learn how to drop that burden at His feet and forgive that person for whatever wrong was committed. It's beautiful.
I think forgiveness, it's interesting that forgiveness can be tied, right? Infidelities or betrayals of some kind, we can think, well, forgiveness looks like trusting everyone perfectly again. And those are very different things. We can have a heart of compassion for someone and also not trust them at the same time. And it would be wise probably not to trust them and still stay married to them, right? And work through things. But I think, right, like you talked about, this breathing room for growth, for everyone's kind of growth, and an honesty and respect for our feelings and for those goals, to have a relationship based in forgiveness.
Now, these next items that come in the list, respect. We've talked a lot about that on both sides. And love, compassion, work. You could take each one of these and spend hours exploring what the Scriptures say about each of them. I love the fact that the proclamation has them in here in this quick-hitting list. It's beautiful because it doesn't matter what your family dynamic looks like. It doesn't matter what your past struggles have been. You're most likely to find happiness and joy moving forward based on these principles. That's what we're taught. And they are true principles whether you believe in God or not. If you just do these things, and notice how it ends. After compassion and work, it finishes with, and wholesome recreational activities. I like that. They throw that in there. That's a nice one to add to our list.
It's really important.
But it's not just about, okay, let's gather and be reverent and have all these gospel-oriented things, but successful families can go out and recreate together.
And sometimes that's the hardest part for some people to do, I'll think. It's beautiful to have that work and wholesome recreation. Respect, you can hear all the John Gottman work on what's the strongest predictor when he's watching couples interact and predicting divorce with incredible success rate of predicting divorce. He'll say, when you see contempt, which is when you see a berating, an eye-rolling, a dismissiveness, a you are less than I am feeling, that's a really toxic element in marriage and in relationships. And sometimes as a parent, I can be that way. And I'll think, what does respect mean? Respect is a very powerful